and welcome to Healing Begins Here, brought to you by the Victim Service Center of Central Florida. I'm Oliva, the VSC's Community Prevention Manager, and I'm so glad you're joining us today. Healing Begins Here is a show dedicated to exploring the critical work of healing and support for survivors of trauma. At the VSC, we provide free, compassionate, and individualized services to those impacted by violence and abuse in our community. Today we're focusing on protecting vulnerable populations, those who may be at a higher risk of exploitation, abuse, or violence. Throughout this episode, we'll be discussing key safety concerns and ways to protect three specific groups: children, individuals with disabilities, and older adults. Each of these populations faces unique risks, and by raising awareness and providing these resources, we can all play a role in prevention and support. In our first segment, we're diving into a topic that affects so many families but is often difficult to talk about: how to keep children safe online. With technology playing a bigger role in our lives than ever, the internet has become a space where children learn, connect, and play, but unfortunately, it's also a space where predators and other online dangers exist. Joining me to discuss this issue is Detective Hannah Crowe, who works in the Internet Crimes Against Children Unit for the Orlando Police Department. She investigates and helps prevent online crimes, targeting minors, ensuring that offenders are held accountable, and that families have the tools they need to stay safe. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge that today's conversation will include discussions about child exploitation, abuse, and sexual violence. These topics can be difficult, so please take care of yourself. If you need support, the VSC is here for you. Our 24/7 helpline is 407-500-HEAL or 407-500-4325. Detective Crowe, welcome, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So I have a couple of questions here today. Can you start by telling us a little bit about the work that you do for Internet Crimes Against Children and what your work entails?
So there's a lot that goes into it. I'm a one-woman show, literally, and there's a lot of different aspects of my job. Education is huge. I do a lot of education at schools with parents. I do a lot. Some schools bring me in and I teach all the kids about how to be safe online. Now that can't be a full-time job because I have cases that come in. So a lot of my work comes from the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children. That's how I actually get my cases. A lot of people report to them things that are happening online, so I get cases from them. But then I also get your typical, you call 911 and a police officer comes to your house to take a report. I get those as well, along with DCF reports. So there's a lot that comes in.
So one-woman show, responding to reports, trying to prevent some of this from happening through education. What are some of the emerging trends in the threats online for children, or what are the activities that you're seeing online most that are raising red flags?
Yeah, so you talked about it in the beginning about technology. You know, our generation growing up, I didn't have a phone, right? You know, if kids were going to say stuff to other kids like you to do it face to face. Technology, everything is in their face. They get information very quickly. They can pass information around. So that becomes hard because their brains aren't fully developed. They don't know really what's happening at the time. Emerging is sextortion is huge. So to break that down a little bit, it's kids are making relationships online, whether friends or romantic. I see it all the time. They start talking to somebody, they think it's their age. Maybe they have common interests, same grade in school, they talk about sports, they build some type of relationship, and then ultimately the question comes up: can you send me a photo? An explicit photo. Sometimes it's not right, you know, from the start. It kind of builds into that, and unfortunately some kids say yes and they send the photo. Immediately after that, it's the flip. It's send me $500, or I'm going to send your photo everywhere. I'm going to send it to all your followers, and they screenshot all their followers. It's going to go to your school. It's going to go to your family. And kids don't know what to do. You know, I have kids that immediately tell their parents, which is great, right? They tell a trusted adult, which is what we want to see. However, there's those kids that are embarrassed, or, you know, they don't want to get in trouble. So they try to negotiate. Hey, I don't have $500. And then it goes back. How much money do you have? Well, I have $20. Send that. And kids will send $20. And nope, send more money. And then they get into this like hamster wheel where they can't get out. And unfortunately, what is happening is some kids are committing suicide because they don't know how to get out of this.
Right.
And with that, I tell all the students I go talk to when I do these things at schools, it's you need to tell your parents. You know, they might be disappointed at the moment, but they want you to be safe. And then they need to call me. And then I'll come and try to do the best I can for them.
Wow, so kids are getting kind of exploited through these online possible friendships or relationships that they think are with people their age, and then it ends up being something totally different.
Absolutely.
So it's a pretty common problem that you're seeing.
Yeah, and it's not just kids. That's what I deal with, but sextortion is huge even for adults. I see that a lot with our violent crime unit and detectives, that they're dealing with it too with adults. It's the same type of scam, if you will, going on there.
And so what are some of the red flags for parents at home if maybe their kid is experiencing something like this? Are there any signs that they can be on the lookout for?
I always tell parents there's no reason that your child should have their phone after bedtime, right? I get a little pushback with like white noise and alarms, and I'm like, I didn't have white noise. I don't think you had white noise when you were a kid either, and neither of these parents. I remember my mom telling me or the saying, nothing good happens after a certain time, right? Yep. Your child doesn't need their phone, right? They need to go to sleep and get ready for school. So I tell a lot of parents, if your child is trying to hang on to that phone, why? Who are they talking to late at night? Like, why do they need that phone so badly? And go through their phone. But the stuff that I work and the stuff I have to talk about is uncomfortable for a lot of people to talk about. You know, I have to talk about sex and body parts. And that gets uncomfortable for kids to talk to their parents. And I would just say having an open conversation, an open floor to talk about that stuff at home, not to be weird about it, but just put it out there. I think the kids feel more comfortable. Hey, somebody asked me for this, rather than, you know, later on trying to backtrack that. But going through your kid's phone, it's not their phone. It's your phone that you're providing for them. And I tell parents all the time, and I tell students that I go to, like, they can go and look in your phone. Would you want your parents to look through your phone right now?
Right. So they can kind of start that prevention at home by having those conversations and making sure there's an open space to maybe talk about some of those things that we aren't always talking about or that might be kind of difficult. So I want to wrap up today by asking you if there's any additional advice or words of wisdom you can offer to parents or children to try to stay safe from these types of crimes.
So for parents, I would always say, parental controls. There are so many, I can't even keep track, but if there is a social media platform, even a game, you can Google a parental control and put it on your child's phone. They just come up with more and more every day. For students and children, I always tell them, don't share information with people you don't know in real life. A lot of them are making friends on different gaming sites or social media platforms. They give a lot of information. And I always tell them, if you don't know them in real life, don't share that information with them.
Right. Well, that sounds like solid advice and something that they can take an actionable step forward for. Detective Crowe, I want to thank you so much for being here today and for sharing about your expertise on this knowledge and for the work you do day in and day out to respond to these crimes and to help prevent them in the first place.
Thank you for having me.
For sure. So today we talked about internet safety, and I know it can feel overwhelming for parents and guardians at home, but the information provided here today is a great starting point for families to have these critical conversations and to take these proactive steps. For anyone watching, if you suspect online exploitation or you have concerns about your child's online safety, please don't hesitate to report it. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has a cyber line at www.missingkids.org, where reports can be submitted 24/7. And of course, you can always reach out to our law enforcement for immediate assistance. Stay with us. Upcoming next, we'll be continuing our conversation about protecting vulnerable populations as we discuss support and resources available for individuals with disabilities. Thank you for watching, and we'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to Healing Begins Here, brought to you by the Victim Service Center of Central Florida. I'm Olivia Oropeza, the VSC's Community Prevention Manager, and I'm so glad you're joining us today. This episode is dedicated to protecting vulnerable populations who may be at a higher risk of exploitation, abuse, or violence. In our first segment, we discussed keeping children safe online. Now, we're shifting our focus to individuals with disabilities and how we can help empower them, support their independence, and ensure that they have the resources they need to thrive in their communities. Joining me today is Natalia Piedrahita from the Center for Independent Living, or the CIL, an organization that has been breaking down barriers for people with disabilities since 1976. workplace. The CIL provides a wide range of services from advocacy and skills training to peer support and community inclusion. Their work helps individuals with disabilities navigate government programs, transition from facilities back into their homes, and develop independent living skills. Before we begin, I do want to acknowledge that discussions about accessibility and independence can be deeply personal for some people. If you or someone you know needs support, we encourage you to reach out to organizations like the CIL or the VSC for guidance and resources. Natalia, welcome, and thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for having us. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So I want to start by asking you to just tell us a little bit about the Center for Independent Living and the work that you guys do to support individuals with disabilities.
Sure. So as you mentioned, we've been here since 1976. So we've been the superhero for disabilities for over 50 years now. Our mission is try to demolish those barriers that are there for those with disabilities. Disabilities are different for everybody, and we want to make sure that we encourage people to understand that and that disabilities are different depending on how you see them. We do that through different programs that we have in place right now, but we do help all disabilities, all ages. It doesn't matter.
Wow, that's amazing. So anybody can come and receive your services. So many people may not realize some of the unique challenges that individuals with disabilities face. How does the CIL help break down some of those accessibility issues for them? I know you mentioned to me a grant that you guys have that might be assisting individuals with their homes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So yes, as we said earlier, there are different disabilities and different potentials. Now, when we talk about accessibility, is either you are able to access your own home or access the community. And it can be more towards physical disabilities. With those, we do have a program in place through HAD that we can do some home modifications, such as door winding, grab bars to prevent falls, any durable medical equipment like wheelchairs, shower chairs, transfer benches, ramps. We're huge in ramps, just to make sure that we do provide this community with accessible needs, or that they can be continue to live in their community and their independence. That program is able to be used in all our 7 counties, Orange, Seminole, Highlands, Hardy, DeSoto, Polk County, and Osceola. With that program, they can access all home modifications. We do go to their house, do an assessment. We involve an OT just to make sure that what we're doing is going to be feasible and doable, just to set them for success. Again, our mission is to make them more independent and help throughout this journey rather than bringing more barriers.
Right, so you're trying to break down some of those barriers to access or independence for them to stay in their homes. You mentioned building ramps and bars, and that you'll have someone come out and figure out what's feasible for them at their home, right? So how can individuals access that service? Is there a good way to get in contact with you guys or to learn about your programs?
Absolutely. So it's very easy. You guys can go online, www.cilorlando.org, or you guys can call us. We usually reach out back within 48 hours. Our intake specialist will call, follow up with an intake, asking questions, making sure that we're not only assessing for the current need, but we're very trauma informed, so we want to make sure if there's anything else that we can help with or we can provide with. For example, people will call us for a ramp, right? They saw this, they're like, oh, they can give me the ramp. But once we're on the phone, we can figure it out that maybe they don't have access to medical treatment, or that they don't have access to transportation, or that they're struggling with food. We have all of those services. We have case management, we have advocacy, we have a specific program for children with disability within the Orange County. We have a program for those that are 14 to 22 within the youth transition ages, where they can experience real life experience in different settings, such as hotels, hospitals. So within that intake, we're not only assessing the need that is being brought to us, but the overall. We are trying our best to be part of covering those gaps within the system, within the barriers, within the stigmas that there is still out there for disabilities.
Right. So you mentioned a trauma-informed aspect to what you guys do, and it sounds like you take a very comprehensive approach to assessing these individuals' lives and how you can best impact them, mentioning things like food assistance or financial assistance, which are huge barriers for individuals to do any kind of deep level processing or, go forward with trying to find a job or other things like that. We have to figure out those basic necessities first. So in the line of the trauma-informed care, we know based off of statistics that individuals with disabilities are more vulnerable to experiencing traumatic events. Can you talk a little bit about what you've seen in your line of work in this and how you respond to some of those individuals that might have those types of needs?
Absolutely, yes. That's why I love this. Being trauma-informed really helps you be part of the change and not adding up to those aces. We don't need that. What we need is to be understanding and have a different approach and understand that people's backgrounds and the trauma that they already have, it's accumulating. And you want to be part of the, the solution, or here I am, or here are the resources, here's what the community is offering. So when you meet this person, you cannot just go at what they're asking for. Ask different questions, show them who we are. So every time we meet somebody, we make sure and we made a point that they understand all the services available that we do have. So once we talk about it, they might have, oh, wait a second, I'm actually struggling with this. Well, don't worry, we have a program for that. Let me set you up with a case manager. Let me set you up with an employment specialist. Because what if they never thought that there was such a thing that will help you obtain employment and giving you the coaching and everything that you need to be able to be successful in that employment?
Wow.
Well, we do that. So, but the only way people will understand that is through our communication. So part of being trauma-informed is open up that space, where you can trust, when you can open up, when you can say, what will you have as goals? And then maybe we can communicate to each other and say, okay, here's what we can do. How will you like that? Or here's who I can connect you with.
Wow, that sounds very empowering for those individuals who may have disabilities and possibly intersecting with types of trauma, and just everybody having their needs met through you guys is an incredible resource for the community. So I just want to close out today by thanking you for being here and asking if you have any last words to say to our audience members who may be considering reaching out for help or assistance through the CIL.
Oh, absolutely. Please reach out. We are 100% free. We do not, the only requirements is that you guys live in our county of service and that you do have a self-reported disability, and that's it.
Wow.
We have it all. And if we don't, we will be able to find who does it and connect you with it. So do reach out, go to our website, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, get connected. We also have a lot of volunteer opportunities. Okay. We want the community. We want to be part of the community. We're building community. Thank you so much for having me, Olivia.
For sure, Natalia, thank you so much for being here today again and for sharing your expertise and for the work you do in our communities. Independence is something that many of us might take for granted, but for so many people, having the right resources and support makes all the difference. If you or someone you know could benefit from the Center for Independent Living Services, I encourage you to reach out to them. You can find more information on their website at cilorlando.org. And remember, if you or someone you know has experienced violence, exploitation, or abuse, the Victim Service Center is here to help. Our 24/7 helpline again is 407-500-HEAL or 4325. Stay with us as we move on to our final segment, where we'll be discussing how to protect and support older adults, another vulnerable population in our communities. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to Healing Begins Here, brought to you by the Victim Service Center of Central Florida. I'm Oliva the VSC's Community Prevention Manager, and I'm so glad you're joining us today. In this episode, we are going to be exploring ways to protect vulnerable populations from crime, abuse, and exploitation. We started by discussing online safety for children and then learned about resources and support for people with disabilities. Now we're turning our focus to older adults and the unique risks they face, from financial scams to neglect and abuse. To help us understand these issues and what can be done to help prevent them, I'm joined by Deputy Kayri Pender from the Orange County Sheriff's Office. The Deputy Pender has firsthand experience working with senior citizens and their families, and he's here to share valuable insights on how we can keep our elders safe. Deputy Pender, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me today. I appreciate it.
For sure. So I have a couple of questions here. We know that elder abuse is a significant concern affecting many older adults across various populations. We know that 1 in 10 adults aged 60 or older are going to experience some form of abuse or neglect. Given this alarming statistic, what are some of the most common forms of elder abuse you come across in your work?
So in my work, I feel as though that I come across a lot of elder abuse, and it's really unspoken, but more so we think about when it comes to financial or just physical or emotional as well when we deal with elders, and if we are privy to find out what's happening with them in reference to their cases or their life as well, because it's unspoken a lot, but definitely financial, getting taken advantage of, a lot of manipulation as well. So just physical, mental, and just financial as well.
Gotcha. So we're seeing a lot of financial abuse, but we're also seeing other forms of abuse and neglect, physical, emotional,
Yes.
things like that.
Yes.
Are there any specific risk factors that make elder adults significantly more vulnerable to those types of abuse or neglect?
I believe so. I don't like to hone in on generations, but that generation, they were built on something really different. And it was just trust back then. They take your word for it. They built things on word. A handshake was like, okay, and I'm believing that you're going to follow through with what you said. So they still go off the principles that they have, even though times and individuals have changed. So they try to stick to those principles and not really safeguard those things that they're sticking to or what they have as well. So that kind of put them into a different perspective when it comes to trusting individuals that are around. So it makes them more prone to be victims of these things.
Interesting. So a generational difference in how we trust strangers or other
Yes.
people might affect our vulnerability to
Yes.
being exploited or abused.
Yes, it really does. They elders are just built different,
Yeah.
just that I'm going to take your word. So now, with different generations, no word is not a lie. It's like, you need to show me something, or I need to see. It's almost like a quid pro quo. I need something for something in return.
Right.
For me to be able to progress or even take your word or listen to what you're saying.
Right. And you mentioned that a lot of these crimes go underreported or misunderstood.
Yes.
Can you help us maybe understand some of the reasons why there is such a lack of reporting going on for this type of crime?
It goes back to the generation, I believe, as well with them. First, number one, we see a lot of them, when we talk to them, they feel embarrassed. It's like, oh my goodness, I just can't believe that this would happen to me. I put this trust in an individual, and majority of the time it's somebody really close to them and their family. And then from there, they don't want to put their family members out or have the other family members upset with them. So they keep it to themselves. And then it also falls back into with them not wanting to be a victim of retaliation. Okay, you did something, I trusted you, you took something from me, now I'm not sure what the next steps are going to be or what you're thinking about or what could happen to me if I was to even bring this to the public or to the light.
Right. So there's a bit of that maybe stigma of maybe not wanting to be victimized
Yes.
and not wanting to fall prone to some of those things. And then also fear involved
Yes.
of how will this be taken care of and,
Yes.
and who will support me if the person abusing me might be someone I know or
Yes.
is a family member.
Yes, because that family member is probably the sole provider for them or their caretaker. So if I was to speak on that individual and then they get in trouble, now I'm really stuck. Who's going to help me from here? So do I speak about it and get these things resolved, or just accept what's happening to me and begin to continue to progress and just get by the way that I do?
I see. So with this prevalence of elder abuse occurring and the difficulties with reporting, what community resources do you know of that are available for these elder individuals?
So one thing that we always try to tell them to do, because they don't know that they can make reports or call, but definitely call 911, right? Because you want somebody to be able to look into it. And if you don't want to give your name and things, you can do it anonymous. And someone can be able to look into this situation just to, find out, or at least open up some type of investigation to look a little bit further into what you're speaking of, just to find out what's going on. But then also we have connections as well with DCF, who will also look into those things, and our senior community as well, that we have a lot of resources resources on our website that if they wanted to go to OCSO.com. And we have a senior liaison or specialist who focus solely on the senior community, who has all the resources as well. And her information is on the website as well.
I see. And what was that website again?
OCSO.com. It's orange.
OCSO.com.
Yes.
And so they can go to that website to find out about senior programs and other events in their community and how to report.
Yes, and we try to be a little bit more foregoing and forecasting as well by putting things on Facebook. So follow the Sheriff's Office Facebook as well. And on there you can find all the information and even connect with our senior specialist or analyst who has all the information. She does great work, and she's always in the community. And we hold things quarterly as well. Our Senior Connect, when we take things to try to get them updated with some of the things that they may face as being a senior as well.
Right, and that's for open to the public, right? For them
Yes.
to come and attend and ask questions
Yes.
and learn about things in their community.
Yes, and we try to do it in our sectors, different areas, so that, sometimes traveling may be hard. So we try to host it at certain community centers and things like that that may be close in those areas, whether it's the west side of Orlando or the east side. So we have them quarterly, and we just try to, look at the areas where elders may be targeted and try to host things there as well. And we know that some of the communities or some of the partnerships that they are part of will transport them over. So we try to do things like that to keep them updated with some of the things that they may face or may come in contact with.
Awesome. Well, Officer Piedrahita, or Deputy Piedrahita, thank you so
Yes.
much for being here today and for sharing your expertise on this subject and helping us inform the community about how they can access resources and information to help keep them safe and help keep their loved ones safe as well.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. So make sure they go on the website and then also follow Facebook, where they can get all the information in reference to our Senior Connect and all the programs that we do have available for them, just to keep them updated and keep them protected as well.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
So throughout this episode today, we've covered important ways to safeguard vulnerable populations, from children navigating the digital world to individuals with disabilities who are striving for their independence, to our elders facing unique risks. Each of these populations deserve protection, respect, and support. The truth is, safety is a community effort, and we all play a role in preventing victimization and ensuring that nobody is left unprotected. At the Victim Service Center, we stand with survivors of all backgrounds and experiences, whether you or someone you know has been impacted by crime, violence, or abuse. We are here to help. Our services are free, confidential, and trauma-informed, because no one should have to face these challenges alone. If today's conversation resonated with you, I encourage you to take action, whether that means checking in on a loved one, learning more about valuable resources, or simply sharing today's episode to help spread awareness. Change starts with each one of us. Thank you for joining for this episode of Healing Begins Here. I'm Olivia, the Prevention Education Manager with the Victim Service Center, here to remind you that you are not alone.